Okay? Yeah. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, 5th chapter, 12th verse. The embodied one adopts gross and subtle bodies, as also many others, through its own tendencies. The word here is by its own talents or work. It is seen as though different from Brahman, that different from reality. We appear different from reality. And as a cause of their contact with objects owing to the results of action and tendencies. Okay, let's take it up. The translation is a little, I mean, when you try to make it word to word, that's a problem. You can, in a way, it becomes difficult until unless one does explain it. Ananta is going on there. So, the embodied one. So let's put it the embodied one. What has actually made that consciousness embodied? That is now the point of contention for philosophy and every other thing. You can sit, you can use this chair.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Take it, please.
Ticket.
So, this creation theories are quite, I can say, abundant in the Upanishadic literature, and not one creation theory fits with the other. It's a kind of working hypothesis. Yes, because after all, there's no creation in the absolute sense. And but then we've got to explain these things. How do we emerge? So first, the creator created the golden wombed one, the cosmic, you can say, person. And after that cosmic person was created, then came the mind and the senses and this and that. You know what happens? We have uh, uh, like we have a calm lake, and something falls into it with a thump, and the water splashes on. And as the water splashes, that same reality, which is water, has come out in droplets, in drops. It is actually, it's something like this. Somehow that reality has kind of been has gone undergone a transformation, apparent transformation. And what emerges are, so in the Upanishadic literature also is saying like it's the breath of the eternal one, is like a like sparks flying out from can say a bonfire. So all these sparks, these are all the individual souls. What makes that reality undergo an apparent movement, we do not know. It's not known, it cannot be known. Why? You can get out of the whole thing. Yes, they will tell you that you can get out of the whole thing, but we cannot try to bring in causes. Oh, it decided, it was time, it was self-willed. No, no, nothing. All these things can be demolished by logic itself. That's why Swami Vivekananda in his Chicago addresses is saying, how does the one infinite become the finite? Or how does the finite thinks itself as finite?
Yeah.
And why doesn't it think itself as infinite? It has been the, you can say, bone of contention for various philosophers. Many people, they have been trying to say, it's because of this, because of that. Nothing. Swami Vivekananda says, We do not know. Yes, we do not know.
Yeah.
So, this embodied one adopts gross and subtle bodies. Adopts. Why? It has emerged. The drops of water, like the drops of consciousness, have emerged out. And what's happening is suddenly this drop of water thinks, yes, I am separate. Obviously, I'm separate. I cannot be part of this mess. And then that old impulse, the original impulse of that one consciousness to become many, also is embedded in this fragment of consciousness. I am one, let me be many. And I want to have this and that, and I will see this. I will go to the Hollywood Bowl, and I will go to. There I am now, trying to be many. I should have shut up and kept quiet and fallen back in the lake. But I can't, and as a result, I need to take these gross and subtle bodies, the various things. So it starts with that impulse, desire, or the want to somehow. You see, we were in a kind of a retreat, many years back in India, and it was in a place where there wasn't not much facilities here, like running water. You ought to go to the well and get a water. It was very tough, and the boys and girls came, and they were very happy. Beautiful, nice place, and this and that. It's a little difficult, but it's okay. Away from the maddening crowd, and after a while, they started getting restless. So what's wrong with you? Everything is okay, but our restrooms do not have mirrors. What do you want a mirror? You can do without mirrors for a couple of days. No, you see, it's become inconvenient. Can we procure something? Can we get something? So just cannot sit still. That peace and the quiet is
Maybe there's an inner thing to want to know yourself, like
exactly. They want to know the reflected self.
reflective self, and each maybe
Exactly.
wants to know itself in all this.
Exactly. This is what is. So we fragment, we come out, and suddenly, how do I look? I try to get a kind of a mirror, and then I get caught in that reflection. Oh, I'm better than the rest. And then it starts working. Why? I have to prove myself I'm better than the rest. And this is what, through its own qualities, the translation is swagunair. It's to one's own talents and one's own mental capacities, or whatever, qualities, I say. It is seen as though different from now, it is seen as though different from the reality. It could have gone through this whole thing. You could have seen this thing, enjoyed it, say, okay, fine, all these things. But if it had remembered that, yes, I am a part of that reality, then it would have taken care of all of it. But unfortunately, we simply have forgotten. And this is called Maya.
Simply have what?
Maya. We have simply forgotten. And it makes the impossible possible. Simple. Why? Yes, that is the idea. It somehow puts a veil around it. And then I remember when we were, in a kind of that Vedanta college. Uh, so there was a friend of mine. because he's still in India. He is. And he used to do a lot of japa, repetition of God's name. So we also, and he was very small and like babyish, very, yeah. And we used to all make fun of him. So one time he wasn't well, and then one of those teachers, they need to go around early in the morning to see if there's any monastic sleeping at this hour or not. Wake him up. They used to be, come on, get up, and take a flashlight and go. So this friend of mine, he wasn't well. So he said, I won't go to the temple to meditate. I'll meditate here. And if he's sleepy, I'll lie down. So the teacher got annoyed. You're supposed to go in the temple. He did not know he was not well. Temple. You're not such. Get up. So he dragged himself down and he goes to the temple somehow. And then next day his fever was bad. So next day again the teacher came around to and found again, I told you you ought to be in the temple. And like you saw him sitting down doing his repeating. Then he pushed and then he found that it was not my friend. It was a bunch of pillows covered with a quilt. And the teacher was so annoyed. You have deceived me. I saying, no, I was, kind of not well. I didn't want to tell you about it. And then, and you keep on disturbing me. Where were you then? Did you go to the temple? No, I was under the bed. Yes, I was in the bed. So this incident I given you because somehow we play our tricks. We try to avoid facing that reality. No, we will do various things, try to. That is where we tend to miss out the fact that we are part of that reality and we shouldn't have been thinking of self as separate. So it is seen as though different, separate from the reality. And then what happens as you sense all this taste and touch and color and this and that, and wow, you have really forgotten. Yeah. The moment you see all these things, everything is streaming down to the senses, and the mind is now occupied with this. It has. So, first is the mind gets deflected from the reality, and then it gets engaged with it. So, Vedanta says there are two powers. That's the veiling power, Avarana Shakti. It veils the reality. And after veiling, there's another power that comes into play, it's a Vikshepa Shakti. That is, it starts creating various things. It starts vibrating, as it were. And things start emerging from that. And then what happens? See, we are not ordinary. We are that kind of reality. So we have that power. Suppose I think, let's calculate a little faster, and then I design a computer in my mind first, and then I do it. Anything is possible for this soul. And suddenly that soul understands that power. Oh, wow, I can do this. I can climb the Himalayas. I can do this. I can do that. Nothing is impossible for me. And it keeps on and on and on and on. So it is engaged now and it is enjoying itself because there are three things that are embedded also in the soul. One is the power of desire, Ichcha Shakti. Desire in the sense, I want to do this, I want to accomplish this, I want to see this through. Whatever. It's the desire Shakti, Ichcha Shakti. Shakti is power, Ichcha is will, the willpower. Then we have the power of work, Kriya Shakti. Shakti is power, Kriya is work. So whatever we conceptualize, we can bring it out in the field of work. Yes, because that mind will not let you sit down quietly. The moment you think about it, you'll have to do that. So, yeah, so sit down and relax. And then we have another power called power of knowledge, Jnana Shakti. So, with these three powers, the jiva, the individual soul, starts now creating its own world. Yeah. Sit. No, there are chairs, don't worry.
I can sit on
No, you sit.
no.
There you are. Ah. So we had to shift from there just for today. Huh?
I hope so.
Yeah, hope. That's an eternal cry of the soul. Of course, it is true. So these three powers, the willpower, the power of work, and the power of knowledge, being endowed with that, now it is expressing its own reality. What happens is suddenly you feel that I'm here at the center of this universe. The whole universe is for me. I'm the center of the universe. And somebody else is saying, I'm the center of the universe. I'm the center of the Hey, what's that? It's actually like that. Everybody, when we sit on the earth, we think the earth is the center of the universe. No, it isn't. What makes you think? But we conceptualize ourselves like this. We are at the center of everything. And then you're told, no, you are not at the center, but doesn't matter. My perception shows that I'm at the center of things. I'm involved. And then I start to express myself. All these things are for me. And they come to me, and I fashion in my, you can say, heart or in my mind, all those things, and I throw them out. I am the center of this universe. And the whole world runs to me. In fact, Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga, he explains it in this way. The whole world is rushing towards me. And I fashion from all these fragments a kind of a picture of myself, a character, a personality, and I throw it out back on the world. This thing is constantly going on. The world is trying to throw something at you, and we are taking that and throwing it back to the world. This we are caught with our own minds as well as others' minds. We need each other, at the same time we don't need each other. I'll go crazy with people. Then I'm saying, oh God, but what do I do alone? I'll go crazy alone. Yes. So we are caught in a kind of paradoxical situation. What do you want? See, depends. When I'm very, very selfish, I will say, yes, I want people. Why? Because I can exploit them. And when I'm feeling really unselfish, I don't want people. Because I'll have to dispose all my things out to. So somehow, by its own individuality, its own qualities, it gets caught up and thinks itself as separate from the reality. And now, when we do a particular thing, we do a work, what happens is work is divided into three parts. Now, we'll say in the human level, there is something called karma. It's a moral, physiological, ethical, you can say, action. What about morality in the animal world? There is no. They know hunger, thirst, rest, sex. They know all these things. Keep quiet. We don't. They're not moral. Humans are moral. There is a kind of a sense of right and wrong, and it's very heightened. That's because of the self consciousness. So they are mainly on the instinctive level. All creatures are very instinctive. In the human, this consciousness has dawned that I'm responsible for my actions. Yeah. If I hit this table very hard, yeah, I'm going to hurt my palm. I know it. So somewhere I'm responsible for what I'm doing. The sense of responsibility comes. And then what happens is we do a particular work and that impression is created. Nothing goes without marking itself on our mind. I was here. You know, they say, go, I was here. Oh, you are here. You stand on the front, you are here. Oh, there. So it leaves a kind of a mark, whatever you have done. So in time, these marks or these samskaras, as they are called, they coalesce. Samskaras, impressions of books, of tables and chairs and computers and everything, they kind of form into a class. And though they are all interlinked, they are kind of. So Swami Vivekananda says, eh, we pigeonhole, we understand things, take it, and we pigeonhole these things, impressions. So we do not know how many impressions are there. But the scriptures say that there is something called they will work themselves out. They will come out. You can't keep them for long. Now, when they emerge out, it comes, it's called a prarabdha, that which has begun. Prarabdha is begun. And those which are still yet to be emerge or to work themselves out, they are still collected. They're called sanchita, collected. And from that collection, when things are emerging out, it's called agame. So this whole process, we get caught with our own action. Now, how do we get out of this? Every action is tied to the sense of individuality. I. Suppose we cut this at the very root, then what happens? Oh, then it becomes easy. The whole structure falls down. Last week I was in San Francisco and then did the old temple with Swami Trigunatithananda built. My God, 1904. Yeah. And then they found that there's kinds of leaking pipes and they wanted to repair them and they put a drill and they found no foundation. And yet it survived the 1908 earthquake.
Wow.
Wow.
So what they did was they removed the plaster first to make it the building lighter. They put cross beams, steel beams, lengthwise and widthwise, and they held the whole building up.
Oh.
And then they dug down with the machines and they made a kind of a basement. They got an extra basement also, and then they put the foundation, and then they removed those steel and the rest.
Wow.
Wow, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The same thing if we can do it. Lift that this illusory self from the real self. Pull it up. And then as he said, oh, this was the whole thing. It was without any foundation. And then you bring it down and place it down on reality.
Yeah.
There you are.
Mm.
Then what happens? You will express the reality always. Though we are living and working and doing all these things, yet we will be expressing the reality. We will not be expressing our individuality. In fact, we will be expressing the collective or individuality of God. Suppose, like I said, what is God? God is a collection of all the individualities in the world. So what you will express, that collective individuality of God, not your own. So what's that? Oh, it doesn't matter. It all belongs to God. Like Swami Turiyananda, who lived and worked in San Francisco, when he was in India, he was meditating. And there's one rich man, he saw, oh, there's a monk who's meditating and it's cold. So quietly he left a nice blanket, woolen blanket. Think after meditation, the Swami will use it. That will give me merit. They're always looking out for merits. So another thief, he sees, oh, the sadhu meditating and with a nice blanket beside him. Why does a holy man need a blanket? He comes and takes that away. So Turyananda, he's aware, he doesn't bother. Somebody came, kept it, somebody took it away. So what is there? The moment you would say, this is mine, oh, there you would have got caught.
Uh-huh.
So that person feels as if everyone are in him and he is in everyone. It becomes like a kind of a mirror, not a mirror, rather, it's kind of a glass. You can see through that person and see the whole world in him. And that person can see the whole world in that glass. He doesn't see him. When Swami Vivekananda, one time, he was in New York, and if I'm not mistaken, it's somebody's house or the kind of hotel. And Ellen Waldo, his disciple, was there, one who took the notes of you know Raja Yoga.
Right.
She was a great. Her life has just come out, kind of a thick book. Wonderful life there. So she was watching Swami Vivekananda, and he's pacing up and down a long mirror. The mirror reach from the ceiling to the floor, and he's walking up and down, admiring himself. And he's looking at like this and that. And poor Ellen, she's saying, I thought he was a great religious teacher, and he's so vain. Now the bubble is going to burst. And he turns and says, Ellen, it's a very strange thing. The strangest thing. When I look at myself, I see myself. But when I turn away from the mirror, I do not know what I look like. That was, he had come to that stage where he was reflecting the whole universe. He did not recognize his own individuality, even delineated by his body and mind. Yeah, that's a state of, you can say, realization, where you become Paul. There you are. You see, when artists or musicians, when they are playing or whatever they're doing, if they can bring more and more people in their ambit, they feel good about it. And people also resonate with that creativity. It's touching them somewhere deep down. And they agree with you. So we are trying to reach out. At the same time, we are being pulled back. So these two forces, pravritti and nivritti, they're pulling us on and on. So we want to go out, and something pulls us back. Go out. So that's why they say, take up some form of work, take up some form of creativity, and you can become unselfish. That's the whole basis of spirituality. I say, oh, it's ethics and morality. No, that might be. But the scripture is trying to say, just come away from that prison and expand. And we do it at times unconsciously. So if we can do it consciously, we come out of this prison. So this is what here he's saying. owing to the results of action and tendencies of the mind. And so, though we are imprisoned, yet we do not forget our real nature. Yes, it's there. It just needs a little prodding, a little scratching, a little on the surface, and then it emerges out. Yes, because since okay, then what happens to that drop of water when it falls back in the lake? It is one with. Then I say, what was I dreaming about? As it is falling down, what was I dreaming about? Something separate and this and that. Then you merge in. There you are. So we take the next verse. Oh, we still have time. Yeah, a lot of time. 178, please. One becomes free from all the fetters by realizing the effulgent one who is beginningless and infinite, who exists in the midst of the inscrutable world as its witness, who is the projector of this universe, who has multifarious form, and who is the one entity encompassing the universe. Little heavy. Anadyanantam Kalilasya Madhye. So how do we become free? So we are so and so, Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, and how do we get out of it? By realizing your reality. Somewhere deep down, our bodies have been changing, yet we feel, yeah, I'm the same person. And then when these changes in this dimension are over, goes to the next dimension. You wait for some time, then take up another body, and this is constant transformation. So, what do we do to stop this kind of transformation? These transformations are like Swami Vivekananda. So, and in Vedanta scriptures also they give a kind of example. Every in India we have a kind of a weekly market. People bring from distant villages their produce, and they kind of an open bazaar market, and they sell their wares and they return maybe once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes. Mm, and the whole place is kind of crowded and noisy and this and that. So one farmer used to get his produce every week to the market and then sell it and then return. One day on his return journey, he sees a few of his friends playing cards under a tree. Saying, "Hey, wait, just a moment, just a moment. What happened? I'm going to join you." So he takes the reins of the animal, ties them to the cart, and he jumps out. He steps out of the cart, and the poor bullocks, they know they've been doing this over the years and years and years. They go back to that place. This person has come out. At one point of time, you will feel your body and all these things are moving around. Yes, but you as an individuality has come out. You have become free. So that's how. But do these transformations keep on going? Yeah, when the oxen will reach their destination, they will stop. And they will stop and yeah, fine. There will no more transformations. The person has stepped out. So all these bodies and minds that we had collected over the thing, everything that we had collected, we need to throw them away, discard them. And how? Saying one becomes free from all the fetters by realizing the effulgent one who is beginningless and infinite. There it is. So what do? We realize our real nature. That's the idea. But it has been spoken of as realizing the one as kind of as separate, because we have that ideas of separateness yet in us. So what do? realizing that one thing, who is uh, free from all fetters. That's a constant, you can say, refrain of this sage, Svetashvatra, in many of his past verses. So, getting out of these fetters. It's actually a noose, pashai. It's like no kind of a lasso. When you throw a lasso falls on. It's actually pashai means a kind of a lasso. All this. How? By knowing that one effulgent one, Gnatva Dev, by knowing that effulgent one. Who's that effulgent one? You. You are that effulgent. You, as it were, have separated yourself from your own effulgence by taking a mirror and then seeing yourself in the mirror and think, oh, hi. There is something called a pseudo hallucination. Pseudo hallucination, like a half hallucination. That is, it's not really a hallucination, but when you're looking in the mirror, you feel as if someone else is you, like in the corner of the mirror, looking at yourself. You notice it? It's kind of this phenomena also is called this doppelganger. Yeah. You're walking, you feel somebody is there with me. Maybe my guardian angel. No, it's a kind of a pseudo hallucination. You feel your own shadow as real sometimes. Image of you. In fact, you even see for a fraction of a second a reflection of you, either beside you or in the mirror. Oh, it's got a double go, double gang. So we took that mirror and then we saw ourselves in that mirror and we liked what we saw and then we kept on watching. And we forgot the whole, you can say, story of why we emerged, what we emerged for.
What we were?
Emerged from. And so as a result, we get caught. So just what do we do? So Vedanta says you just change your angle of vision. Simple. Oh yes, you are looking here. Now you turn inside. That's all. And what all this madness of its religious practice? Wake up early in the morning. You need to do something. Okay, you do it. What? Religion is just changing your vision? Say, yes. That's all. But what about this worship and this ringing the bell 20 times and waving the lights 100 times? What about this? You want to do it? Do it. But this is this. People with a lot of activity in them, they need to hold on to something. Yeah, I want to, I want to, I want to. They do it. But in Jnana Yoga, in the knowledge yoga, saying just turn your. Sri Ramakrishna gives a nice example. There's like, in the old days in the villages in India, there was a kind of a policeman that used to take rounds in the night. And he had a kind of a lantern. The lantern used to throw the light outside. So nobody could see the policeman really. They could only see the lantern and the light on what it fell. So God is like that. He's moving around with a kind of a lantern. Saying, what do? So you pray, oh God, turn that light a little on yourself so I can see you. So then he'll turn the lantern and then you can see his face. So you can see the policeman's face. So it's like this. So you just turn a little bit. Oh, here it is. And once you can do that, there is all like exactly all these bonds of what do you say, fetters or these nooses, lassos and all nuts all have gone. Like you have these magicians and they have a kind of bunch of knots and then they shake it up and So it's the same thing. Like you see, look at how everything is free. So this anadyanantam kalilasya madhye vishwasya sashtar aneka roopam vishwasekam pariveshtitaram gnatva devam muchyate sarva papa. So one becomes free from all fetters by realizing that effulgent one, that Deva, who is beginningless and infinite. It's very difficult when you see this universe. Where has this emerged? Or where is this God in this place? Where exactly does God come first? Because you keep on wondering, it's so vast. How vast? It's just beyond your all conceptions. Beginningless, endless. Yet we know the universe has a beginning, will have an end. So this is, does this idea of the universe, you can say, is consonant with the ideas of God? No. This is just a kind of a bubble that has emerged from though the universe is so vast, so vast, so vast, and you look at it and you feel there is no God here. Yeah, it does appears like that. There is no God here. But that person who's seeing this whole universe, this vast universe, that is consciousness. He says, find that God here in this consciousness, not there in those stars and planets. And it is as if consciousness is trying to understand itself. Yeah. So the moment you give up those external things, the stars and planets, it's there. But your inquiry will be, what is this consciousness that's witnessing this? And then we try to dissect it, and then we find, oh, it is part of the universal consciousness, a kind of a fragment that is coming. So this is what it is. So who exists in the midst of this inscrutable world? Yeah, it's really inscrutable. We are sitting here and suddenly a kind of a earthquake comes and boom, or a lightning comes and strikes. Or we go out there and somebody gives us a piece of chocolate. Then thank you, it's my birthday. Yeah. Or somebody comes and pulls out a gun on you. Why? It's, it's really strange. This world is really, really strange. You cannot say it is like this. And people have been trying to put it. You follow these rules. It should be like this. It doesn't. So he who is the projector of this universe with multifarious form. So it is this consciousness that has projected this whole universe. Hold on to that, you will understand the projection. So, like we have a projector, and we have the light behind, you can say, the projector, and you have a film, and that film is, you can see, projected on a screen. The similar way, that light is that consciousness, and this film that we have are the various, you can see, impressions in my mind and everybody's mind and all these things, and it's projected out. It's actually here, but it appears there outside. Oh wow, it's there. And then we see, wow, you see the whole prairie is burning, and then you have the tsunami coming, but the screen is not wet, not burnt. It's just a projection. So this whole universe is a projection.
Swami, the other day, Akandapara came to visit me.
Mm.
And I told her, I made a statement. All of this is my projection.
Mm.
She said, I'm talking, but I'm right here.
Yeah.
So is she a projection? No,
Yes, we are all projections of that one deity called God. But in our minds, when we project, we build our own world inside. I want to go to, suppose I want to go to San Diego. Okay. and then I'm going to do like this and that and this and that. I'm building my own, I'm projecting my own world.
Mm.
And then I'm saying, hey, I want to go to San Diego. Why don't you take me around there? Oh. So I try to actualize what I have projected in my mind. So that's why they say there is one called Ishvara Srishti, God's creation, God's projection, and there is something called your individual creation, Jiva Srishti. It is actually this individual creation, individual projection of my own world through which I am caught. The external world projected by God does not bind thee. It doesn't bind.
Mhm. So she was the projection of God, kind of.
You also. You also. We all.
So we were really one.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Projected it.
Yeah.
But she was trying to tell me I am doing the projecting because she's right there, present. That was my understanding.
Yeah. She is projecting her own world, her own desires. God, when God projects, she projects her own desires. I am one, let me be many.
Yes.
And in that many, we are all those small. One time, one devotee, I should tell you, I think, yeah, one devotee, she sitting meditating beside mother. Mother also meditating and she is also meditating. I forget the name of the devotee. And as she is meditating, she is seeing the Holy Mother, you know, as a divine mother. And here, as Kali, she is giving birth to billions and billions of beings. They are emerging out from her like tiny insects. And this same divine mother, who she looks like so sweet and nice, she's withdrawing them, all those tiny insect like beings, back into her. She's projecting it, withdrawing it. So she got frightened and she screamed and she opened her eyes. Then she told mother, Mother, I saw you like that. Mother smiled, saying, by Shri Ramakrishna's grace, you have seen that Prakriti, that is nature, constantly creating, projecting constantly. And she is nature. She is that. She is the creatrix. She is the matrix. So it looks like this, but it's not like this. You see, it's a very deceptive, you can say, form she has taken. But as we keep on approaching her, she will slowly unveil. That's the idea. So, who has multifarious form and who is the one entity encompassing the whole universe. It is she, as nature, is made of nature as well as souls. She is the reality. She is the boss here. She is the one who projects, not we. We are projecting and we are caught up in her. Like she is also caught up in her own world, this universe, because she has to take care of it. Oh, yes. It's very difficult to be a god. Tough. She has to take care of it. He projects it, and so what? Who's going to look after it? You. Not you? Then who will? You have to look at it. Okay. We'll stop here for now. We have one verse in the 5th chapter, but then we can do it next time. Then we can go to the final chapter, chapter 6.
Next Wednesday.
Oh, yes. This month I'm here. September